Invasions of white farms in the year 2000 were a turning point. This time, the world did notice. It was a chaotic, destructive process, but Mugabe said he was correcting an old injustice and in many ways still fighting the old colonial power.
The land is ours, we give it to whom we please. It's not the business of Britain, you see, to tell us who to give land and who not.
Country with the most promising future in Africa. Like so many others, I don't live here anymore. In the 1980s, my best friend and I were held up as poster children for the new, independent Zimbabwe. A white girl and a black girl who did everything together. We'd known each other since nursery school. In this film, I'll call her Mercy. That's not her real name. When we were 8 years old, the most powerful man in the country came to our town. Mercy and I practiced our curtsies for days. Comrade Robert Mugabe was our hero. I still remember the excitement of being chosen to put flowers around the neck of this great man, whose photo was on every shop wall and school hall. It was like meeting a movie star. Mugabe was elected to power after years battling the repressive Rhodesian regime of Ian Smith. Under Smith, only whites were allowed to vote, though they totaled just 2% of the population.
We, the Europeans, we are all powerful. We have the reins in our hands, and we can pretty well do what we like.
This racism gave rise to hatred and years of bloody civil war. Mugabe emerged a leader when finally independence brought peace and liberation.
I, Robert Mugabe, do swear that I will well and truly serve Zimbabwe, so help me God.
But it wasn't to last. Our hero immediately began a brutal campaign against any opposition. His first target was rival tribe, the Ndebele people, Mercy's people. Thousands of civilians were being beaten and killed.
So guys, you see this documentary, you see how it started out? It started out Samba, saying, oh, black and white, basically saying black and white girls group together, it was hunky-dory and the president come and meet them. You see, it's painted it's a documentary, it's a 45-minute documentary, but I just take this part, this is the beginning of it. I will put the link in the description for you to go and watch the entire video, but the video painted Mugabe in a bad light. They started out Samba, and they said if he was fighting, killing the tribes, the tribal people, after the tribes and her best friend, tribes were annihilated and they killed, and at the time, 2% of the population was white, and they are the ones they were the only ones that could vote people into power. Not only that, they are the only ones who have all the wealth, all the businesses at that time, right? But the gist of the documentary is they paint him in this, he's a dictator, he's this horrible person, but because she's white, right? But don't forget people. You know what? Before I get so deep into it, watch this next video, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts at the end. Watch this next video.
1965, Rhodesia and Ian Smith's white settlers declare independence from Britain, an event that defined Robert Mugabe's life and still haunts his country. The black majority resisted racist rule in the cities and out in the countryside, where a vicious bush war raged for years. Robert Mugabe, a teacher turned activist, emerged from prison as an articulate leader of the independence struggle.
We started the war in order to get our country, and we haven't got our country.
They did get their country at Lancaster House in London in 1979. And when Zimbabwe celebrated independence, Mugabe, the overwhelming winner of elections, was in power, and soon showing rival liberation fighters what he'd do to keep it. Matabeleland in the early 80s, the opposition crushed, thousands killed in ethnic massacres, atrocities that were barely noticed abroad. But there was also much to admire: racial reconciliation, education, and health for millions of Zimbabweans. Although later the economy declined and the invasions of white farms in the year 2000 were a turning point, this time the world did notice. It was a chaotic, destructive process, but Mugabe said he was correcting an old injustice and in many ways still fighting the old colonial power.
The land is ours, we give it to whom we please. It's not the business of Britain, you see, to tell us who to give land and who not.
By now, opposition was growing. Despite torture, murder, and manipulation, many Zimbabweans seemed ready to throw Mugabe out. They had a new hero, Morgan Tsvangirai, who said Robert Mugabe's early achievements will always be overshadowed by the years of oppression.
Do we portray him as the great liberator, or do we portray him as somebody who has betrayed the liberation that he fought for? I think the latter will prevail.
The two rivals ended up in government together, although Mugabe made sure he kept the real power, and Tsvangirai later returned to opposition, where he would eventually die.
He is a despot, he's a dictator, he's a tyrant, he's any word you want to throw at him, but he's something more than that. He's the wrong messenger with the right message.
So you see the contrast between these two videos? First, let's take a step point by point, right? The second video, you see, when he was fighting against the ethnic, which is the other tribes, and the killing, you hear in the video, he say, no one but an eye, no one pay attention. As soon as he burned down the white people, I don't want to make it be a racing, but what this is fact. This is not, I'm not putting my feelings in this. This is what happened. When he burned down the houses of the farmers, of the white people, and took away the land, I remember what he said, it's Ghanaian land, so England have no right to tell him what to do with the land. That's when the international community came in and they destabilized Zimbabwe. This is how they do it. And this is not the first time they do it. They did the same thing with Rwanda. They did the same thing with Libya. They sanction the country, heavy sanctions. That means there's no economic growth. So they are making it look as if he's starving his own people, but in fact, he's not. He's just being stubborn. Because not so stubborn, he's being radical, because if you watch any of President Mugabe's speeches in the UN, he's always bashing the French, the English, the American, the EU, all of them. He always bashes them. Listen to his speeches that he does in the UN. I put on my channel yesterday, so you can go and look at it on my channel, right? So this is what the West and the EU do. They sanction these countries and make it look as if it's the presidents are doing it. They cause economic turmoil. They cause food shortages. They cause hunger. And everybody don't care, because they want to get, once an African leader is not aligned with the West or EU, they get them out of power. Because in the end, that's what they did. I do think he stayed in there a little bit too long. I will give them that. But what he did revolutionized Zimbabwe, because how is it 4,000 farmers can own all the best land and the most fertile land in the country when all the black people had none, right? So that way he took away land, and when he took away land from 4,000 white people and he gave it to 300,000 Zimbabweans, not only them, because they said, which is natural. I think he gave some to some of his compadres, which is, every government does that. Every single one of them. So none of them is morally command to dishing out things to their friends. But he did give over 300,000 Zimbabweans land to farm with good rich soil. So that's a fact. And the first video, remember how the girl was saying that yeah, she grew up black and white, there was a poster child, and every society we ever had have that interracial friendship. But most time, if you're a black and you catch it with a white person, you're killed. They kill you on the spot. Hang you, lynching, shoot you, set dogs on you. So this has been going on throughout history. So I don't want no bleeding heart for this little white girl because of this one friend she had, and she moved away and then you come back and looking for it. I'll put the link in the video. I'll put the link in the description for you to go and watch the entire documentary. It's a 45-minute documentary she did. But she painted Mugabe as this tyrant, this dictator, but minor, she wasn't living in the country at the time because she had run away, right? But what about all the black families that was torn from their homes, from the colonial, the British, when they came to Zimbabwe. Remember, they wipe out entire tribes, women, kids, and women and children, and men. They kill the men, rape and enslave the women, kill some of the kids, and enslave some of the kids as well. Because they used to, if they are too rebellious, they will just kill the whole tribe. And that's what they did throughout history. So where's the bleeding heart and the long tears for this genocide? But this one little blip where white people felt this one, how we can put it? The white people felt a touch, a taste, just a year or 2 years taste of what black people have been going through for decades. So I have no empathy for them with this, because you cannot white and own land in Africa. Number one, every white people in Africa came there during slavery and settle and get land. So you can't, I don't want nobody come and tell me, oh, they are Africans, because no, you are not. You stole land. So that, as the president said in the video, you can't tell me what to do with my land. It's my land. So how you can own the best land, the most rich and fertile land in the country, farming, while the blacks can't even come in your neighborhoods? Because even in South Africa, they remember apartheid. And this is my gripe with people. People tend to forget about history quick, because they want to listen to the narrative of the West. Okay? And this is what the West does. Remember, Libya was succeeding for 40 years. But and just a quick side note. Libya, don't forget, they had free healthcare, free education, free electricity and water. And it was a booming economy, because Gaddafi had 140,000 tons of gold in reserve. Combine all the world gold, less than as much as him. And what did they do? Let me tell you what. The EU, France, especially France, Sarkozy, he's the main one in this. English, EU, and America, they come together, right? And they destabilize. Let me step back a bit. When Gaddafi wanted to do the golden which is a new currency, it would tank the West economy. So before that, so what they do, they destabilize the country. They sanction Gaddafi. So they make it difficult for him to start the thing, and then now the people start turning against him. So this is the tactic they use throughout history. They will destabilize the economy of any African leader they cannot control, and then turn the citizens against him for them to assassinate him. And this is what they did throughout history. They did it with Zimbabwe, with President Mugabe, and they did it with Libya, with Gaddafi, and a lot of other countries, Nigeria. So Rwanda, they did it in Rwanda. Remember that big genocide in Rwanda? Whenever the Houthis, I forget the Houthis, and they was fighting. That was done by the West. People tend to act as if it was us, people just get one and kill one another. No, they were plant seeds and push people to that, just to destabilize the country to get the resources. That's what they do throughout history. So, President Mugabe is a hero in my eyes, because a lot of people some people won't agree, because they're gonna look at his later years and say, yes, well, he was a dictator and he was a tyrant. But you can't wipe out all what he set the standard for African countries to start to rebel against the West and the EU, because he started most of it. He did way more than Mandela, because Mandela hold hands and sing Kumbaya and forgive and forget all the white people, and still leave them in power, leave them with land, leave them with all the wealth. He should have stripped that away from them. I'm sorry, it should have been stripped, because you see how they treat people in South Africa, how they used to set dogs on them and beat them and kill them. And you should go and watch the documentary on South Africa before Mandela came to power. So if we had a Mugabe in Mandela time, Africa and a continent and a whole would be way better, because it would be done on a more grand scale and it could be replicated. But hey, past is the past, but stop demonizing President Mugabe. The man is a hero to an extent. I'm not saying he did all what he did was good, but you cannot deny what he did. He transformed look, Zimbabwe is now a booming economy, and the government is not returning the land to the people that it was the white man he was taking. He's trying to compensate them, which is right. He say, when I say which is right, don't give them back the land, but you can give them some cash to, go buy land if you want to buy land or something, or whatever you want to do. So, yeah. If you don't agree with me, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and then we discuss it. You don't know. It's the Washington SXN podcast. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. You don't know it is. Peace. One love. Boom.